So it's been a while since I put out any sort of Road to Masters or gameplay video of me playing ranked, and there's a couple of reasons for that. As you guys know, I've decided to stop one-tricking Aurelia, so most of the past few weeks has consisted of me practicing other popular top laners, grinding out ranked games, and more importantly, trying to develop a new strategy for how to carry games. If you remember my old Aurelia videos, you'll probably remember me talking about how I had a pretty solid strategy for carrying in solo queue. Namely, I would start off by focusing on winning laning phase, then I would roam around taking towers and dragons in the early mid game, followed by split pushing with teleport later on, and then finally grouping with my team to close out the match. This is a strategy that worked really well for me and took us all the way to D3, but one problem that it has is it's something that's pretty specific to Aurelia. This isn't to say that no other champion can do it, but there's a lot of other champions that can't be played in this exact way, or at least that's not the optimal way to play them. Aurelia, for instance, is a little unusual in that she doesn't really have a hard counter top lane that can be picked against her. There's some champions that can still beat her in laning phase, but even the toughest matchups for Aurelia mostly come down to skill. This means that whether I'm against a Riven, a Kennen, or a Malphite, I can always still play this strategy out since that first point is always relevant. I can always try and win laning phase in every matchup I come up against, and the rest of the points are pretty much relevant in any sort of situation too. However, this isn't always true for every other champion in League of Legends. If I'm playing Yorick, for example, there are some champions out there that I'll counter really hard, and I can still go for solo kills trying to win laning phase, but there's also other champions that might counter me. I maybe don't always want to pick Yorick if I'm first pick, or at least if I do first pick him, I can't always expect myself to just win laning phase and get solo kills every single game. This strategy then doesn't always hold true in every situation, and if I do pick Yorick and get counterpicked, I have to find another way to win the game. There's a lot of different types of champions played top lane with a ton of different power spikes at different moments in the game. Some of them can be played like Aurelia and they have strong laning phases and can do similar things, but some of those champions also can't always 1v1 late game or fit all the other criteria of the strategy I was using. And still other champions like tanks or other late game scalers never really want to be aggressive in an early laning phase unless your opponent makes a huge mistake. I mean, in that situation, your job is just to chill and farm till late game where you use globals or teleports to look to team fight. Anyway, the point of all this is to say that I've been trying to practice a lot of these other champions and not really restrict myself to just one type of top laner I might want to play. I'm playing late game scalers, more damage bruisers, and straight up tanks. I've been trying to get practice in on every one of these other types of top laners and really do the complete opposite of being a one trick, and for the most part, it's actually been working out. We have bounced up and down in terms of our rating, even falling all the way down to D5, but we've never lost diamond so far, and I've actually been doing a good job of not only never playing Aurelia more than 3 games in my past 20 matches, but I've rarely played any champion more than 3 games in my past 20 matches. However, having said all that, I am currently suffering from one big problem that I've noticed after all this practice. I can't tell when I deserve a win and when I'm just getting carried. When I had my old Aurelia strategy, one of the things that was really nice about it was I could always tell if I just fucked up in one of these 4 areas. I mean, if I lost a laning phase in a match where I ended up getting solo killed over and over, that's a huge and obvious mistake. I messed up hard there and deserve a loss. If I didn't help my team with objectives and teammates fell behind as we got out-rotated, or if I just never showed up for Dragon or anything like that, it would be painfully obvious that I didn't do my job. Whether I ended up winning or losing was irrelevant. I could clearly see if I was playing well or if I was playing poorly, and this was really helpful when trying to improve because I could always see where I messed up and where to work on improving for the next match. Now, a lot of the time, I'm lost as to whether I'm doing something right and I deserve a win, or if I'm just getting carried by a good team and not doing too much to help out my team with that win. One good example of this would be this Darius game I played a while back. This was a match where I went 4-4 and 14, not anything particularly special in terms of score, and I messed up a fair amount this game with stuff like playing ganks poorly and giving first blood, not realizing when I'm getting camped and needing to be passive, and I have no escapes after all on Darius. I made some really bad plays in this game, and team fights as well. However, I also made some really good plays in team fights. In particular, I had one moment where I got a 4-man pull with my E that led to a triple kill and set up for us winning the game. At this point, the match was super close. The teams were neck and neck. We might have actually been losing, but this pull got us a free Baron, it got us us a free inhib, and we ended up closing the match pretty easily after that. Is this one good play, along with the other good moments here and there, enough to mean that I played the game right or well enough to deserve a win? Or did I not deserve this win? If I didn't do this good stuff, would I still have won anyway from having good teammates? And maybe I need to play better than this with other teams, or I'll end up losing more of these games than I'll win in similar situations. An even better example of this, which I sadly don't have the replay for, would be the game I played right before this one. This was a game where I did jack squat. I went 2-2-2 and got carried by this crazy good jungle Jarvan. However, the reason that this guy went off was because of those 2 assists I had. I had a really nice play early on where the enemy Elise came top lane to gank me, but I got a nice pull on both the top laner and the Elise where Jarvan showed up and got a double kill off of that. Was this Jarvan really good and he was going to go off no matter what and carry our team? Or maybe the only reason he went off was because of that good play I made to give him the lead early on. I can't really tell, did I deserve this win or did I just get carried? It might seem a little bit silly or arbitrary to stress over whether I'm getting carried or not, or you might think that I'm only talking about this because I care about what Twitch chat says on streams and wanting to prove them wrong, that I deserve a win or something, but that's not why I'm talking about this. I think it's really important being able to recognize when you win on your own merits and when you enjoy good teammates, since after all, if you're looking to improve on your gameplay and climb in rating, you need to be able to recognize your mistakes that you're making, but mistakes can be super hard to see in games where you get carried to a win anyway, since any trade or play that you make can easily be justified. Oh, it doesn't matter, I gave first blood, my jungler took dragon anyway. For those of you wondering where Road to Masters is and all the ranked gameplay videos, this is why that stuff has mostly been MIA. Lately, I've been trying to really experiment and play every viable fun top laner in the book, and part of that is just practicing, grinding out games, making sure I can succeed with these champions when I bring them into ranked. But I also need to know these champions well enough to be able to give accurate analysis in a commentary for what I do right and what I do wrong. Learning new champions is a pretty big part of all this, and going over picking a new champion for your role and figuring out how to play them, that also just takes a lot of time, and it might actually be worth a separate video on its own. At the end of the day, I think the best way to look at all this would probably be treating solo queue like it's baseball. Baseball is an unusual sport where you play 162 games in every season. That's more than any other sport that I know of. Sometimes you play like 6 games a week. In a sport with so many matches being played, you're bound to win and lose a lot that you may not deserve. A popular baseball saying is, every team will win 60 games and every team will lose 60 games. It's what you do with the remaining 40 games that matters. That's just like what solo queue is. If you're playing 160 solo queue games, it's hard to not lose 60 of them, and it's also hard to not win 60 of them regardless of how good or bad you are. Making sure that you're playing your best in every match so you can be the deciding factor in those 40 matches is all you can really hope to do, or at least that's what I'm going to try and tell myself until I can grind out enough games to recognize deserved wins on all these other types of top laners. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed watching today's video. It was a little bit of a short and sweet one with some of these thoughts that I've been mulling over recently. I hope you like these little discussion-oriented videos that I'll try to get out more frequently in between the big analysis videos and the gameplay videos, but either way, I'll see you all tomorrow, but until then, thank you very much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.